Okay, let's go.
I'm trying to get the best position
You can
possible.
stand. If standing is your best position, then you can fly even if you want to. You can do anything.
I'm
How are
fine.
you?
I'm very fine.
How are you doing? Yeah.
I'm moving.
You look
My
relaxed.
suitcases- yeah, my suitcases are in place. So yeah,
Okay.
I just realized I made up my mind. I'm like 5 suitcases, Bridget. That's all you need. And
For
so my
what?
life is
For
now
you
5
traveling?
suitcases. Pardon?
Are you traveling? Are you traveling?
Yes, I'm going back to the US.
Okay. For how long? You're not coming back.
No, I am. I'm keeping my home. I'm keeping my responsibilities here, whether it's with
But you're just
universities
going.
and stuff. But bread and butter money, I think, let me do the dollar.
Oh, that is a
But that-
smart woman
that's-
right there.
No, but that's an engineering flex, right?
It is. You can earn in whichever currency you choose.
That's the thing. And I think maybe that's the part many people forget. But I truly think that it is an engineering flex that we don't do enough with. So yeah. And I also miss industry. I miss problems that can be solved in a day.
Okay, wait. We are going into a conversation. I haven't even said hello. I haven't even said hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm very fine. Are you well?
I'm so excited. Like I feel like a little kid, like when she meets, the lady that she really, really likes, and she's just like, but I want to tell you something, and I don't want you to judge me. Okay.
I judged you already when you called me Beyonce of engineering, so you can't go further.
Listen. So in my head, me and you have at least like quarterly meetings. We meet at this breakfast spot, and you order like a rooibos tea and I order wine, and you judge me that it's so early in the morning. But we sit there, and
But you do know we can do this quarterly meeting, right?
I would love that. But can you see now? I manifested it. It was in my head, and now it's live.
Yeah.
Can you see?
No,
Can you see the
I
power?
think we should. Let me tell you actually what happens. Many people, because I do mentoring and some people pay lip service to it, but they don't. The people who
Yes,
fall
true.
away are the mentees.
True.
But I also think
True.
it's because somehow I keep telling myself, you've done such a good job. They know exactly what they want because they always fall
really?
away. Yeah, they always fall away once you've directed them. They know who they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, personality type. What is your track? Is it technical? Is it leadership? Is it? And then I get them to do the actual work. Because, there's a mentee I do. Her job was to go to therapy because she was importing all her abandonment and rejection issues in the workplace, and they were popping up with her as and everything she had was an offense. Everything was an attack, and she wasn't listening. And so I said, tell me a little bit about your family background. She did. And I'm like, no, go talk to daddy, solve the daddy issues, go
And see what is happening.
Heal, forgive him, you'll fly in the workplace. Because people tend to think we are separate individuals. She got a global promotion. I don't know what, but I haven't seen her in a while. So I'm hoping it does.
Oh my.
Yeah.
But you know what I find that it also differs. I feel like for me, I've never had a mentor. Like it's actually pretty sad. Like how I haven't had a mentor. My mom
mentor. Personally, had people holding my hand along the way. I never really had a mentor.
Really?
I just had allies, and I always used to identify allies.
But it's also important that we recognize that you are the daughter of Dr. Ssamula. That's a difference. That's a different type of situation. You already come at the front, and you are already there. You're already there.
Let me tell you something. Before I go to the States, it's been bugging me because my dad passed August last year. And it's been bugging me and more so when I read how people are giving me so many accolades, and I'm like, no, guys, I stand on the shoulders of a giant that I know. And if I talk about my grandfathers, both of them, and then I talk about my father and my mother, then a nice story. my mother's father,
Okay.
traditionally in our tribe then, people used to sit on mats on the floor to eat food, right? So he
Okay.
goes somewhere and he sees a dining table and he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to build a dining table and I'm going to make a dining table so that my girls, right?
Oh,
My girls will not marry and sit on the floor.
can
So
you imagine?
in their village, over and above the fact that he educated his girls, they did not sit on the floor. They sat at a dining table.
My. But did you understand do you understand what that does to a young girl where
Yeah.
like a man that puts you on such a level,
Yes.
and you're being, and just you being here requires you to be, on that level. Already you are way ahead of all of us. But I wanted to ask you this for a long time.
Uh-huh.
When you and your dad used to sit, did you call each other Dr. Ssamula? Hey, Dr. Ssamula. Did you ever like?
It must tell. Okay, so we are 8 kids. Right?
Okay.
Oldest sister is a dentist. The second
All
born is a
right.
sociologist. Third born is a lawyer. Fourth born is a doctor. Fifth is me. I'm an engineer. Sixth, she's an economist. She works in the World Bank now. Seventh is a pharmacist and a biochemist. He did 2 degrees. Third, last born is a lawyer. So the people who hold the title Dr. Ssamula are many in our home. That's another flex.
God, you guys should just say,
Just-
we should do a video. Hello, Dr. Ssamula. Hello, Dr. Ssamula. Hello, Dr. Ssamula. Hello, Dr. Ssamula.
It is true. But I must tell you though, my
Mm.
parents were so fixated about making all of us doctors, right? Like my kindergarten Christmas present was a first aid kit. It was a toy first aid kit.
Oh
That's how
my.
fixated they were on us getting into medicine. So my flex was when he attended my graduation and we did the graduation dinner. I was like, Dad, you always wanted me to be a doctor, but you were never specific about how.
I thought I didn't know that there were so many of you, Dr. Ssamula. I was just like, did you become Dr. Ssamula in engineering just to piss your father off? Because you're just like, I'm gonna be a doctor, but not the one that you want.
Yes. He actually fought me quite a bit to do engineering.
Really?
Like I would fail biology on purpose. Like I made a mental note to not, because we don't call it life sciences, we call it biology. So I failed biology on purpose. Like I would not
Just
read
to be
biology
out of the field.
just so that I would do, and I was always good at maths. So there was no between physics, chemistry, biology and physics, chemistry, maths. It was always outshining biology. But we did fight a lot about it. Like you'd be carving the chicken and he'd be like, good surgery skills. I'm like, leave me alone.
A surgeon hand.
My younger sister, no, he would stretch anything. My young sister, who's now the economist, right? She likes kids. My father would be like, oh, you love children. You'd make such a good pediatrician. I'm telling you, there was no angle he couldn't get into medicine. So please, if you spoke well.
You guys are now.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
It's because he was breathing intentionally all of those things. Obviously, I think as kids we'll become our own people at some points. But I think, what our parents breathe into us is very important. It creates like a really great base,
I must say 2 things. The first one, there are very few people who can say they are 3rd generation college educated, white or black, on every continent. My paternal grandfather has a degree. It was a diploma then because they were colleges, not universities. So my grandfather has a college degree. And so when people are like, wow, you've done so well, I'm like, no. That dude turned down a scholarship to go to Kent to study law because he was running a school and he did not know how.
And you think at what time? And that was like a time where like, opportunity.
Yeah, in the 50s, he turned down scholarship to go and study law because he wanted to be a lawyer. So I think things like that are quite important because they do position you as a person because you sort of know what you need to be able to do. Let me make this phone silent. Yeah,
No
so
problem.
that's a brief story about me on a personal level. Yeah.
That's lovely. I think I get a bit of like I've seen you a couple of times, right?
Yeah.
And you always just so grounded and calm. Like I've never seen you erratic or
Yeah.
in a hurry or, like unless like you need to move from meeting to meeting, but like you
Yeah.
are never, and I understand now. I understand now. I understand now.
Yeah.
It's where you come from. And it's
But
nothing
I
new.
must
Like
tell
you're
you
not.
though, I'm like a duck in the water. So my feet underwater are like,
I can imagine. I can imagine. I can imagine. I can imagine. I can
but this
imagine.
demeanor, no, I don't. It's because, a black woman in the workplace, it's always a
Yeah.
battlefield. So for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
every scenario that is presented to me, I think my greatest flex is that I can't even play chess because my life is chess. So I walk into a room, I have played all scenarios. So when you play this scenario, I'm like, check. You play another scenario, I'm
Okay.
like, check. You
Okay.
play another. So it's very difficult to surprise me.
Because
It's
you're
very
always
difficult.
prepared.
I've thought, but it's the engineering brain. Worst case
No,
scenario.
but also doesn't it make you anxious?
No, if you have a plan, so I get the plan so that I don't have to be anxious. And remember, when
But
you're
like,
anxious, you don't apply your mind. You're not logical. And we think best when we are logical in engineering. But then again, I'm also apparently an Aquarius and we are more logical than emotional. So right now, when people are like, "Leave it," I'm like, yeah, don't. So yeah.
man, that's yeah. It's so different how I find that most of black women that are leaders are always like that. And what we don't do is we never speak about, the duck, the inside. We always just portray this, because you
Yeah.
can't be panicking. You can't be black and panicking.
No.
You have to choose one struggle.
That's already a weakness. Our emotion has already
Ready.
been used against us. Our anger
Mm.
has been used against us. The angry black woman is the proverbial image of the black woman in leadership and corporate, right? And if she's not married, wow. And she has no kids. Yeah,
Even worse.
God.
Even worse. It's like, that's why you don't have a man. Oh, God.
Oh, by the way,
God.
I do have contractors who used to tell me that in Uganda, yeah? That's why you're not married. I'm like,
Yeah,
it
that's
still
what
does
they
not
say.
change the
That's
fact.
what they say.
I said it still doesn't change the fact that I'm not paying you because you're not paying your workers. I'm going to pay your workers all their arrears and whatever money is left, I will give to you. If that is a
And
representation of how I would have run my household, it is all right. It's
that's
okay. But in
okay.
your mind
That's
somewhere,
okay.
that is an insult. And that's okay. It's okay.
And that's okay. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that is
I
all right.
can't
And
change
that
your
is all right.
perception of what an insult looks
Okay,
like.
sit down. I've got some questions for you now. Let's do some structured questions.
Cool.
You might just fall off your seat.
Pulling off
I'm
my seat
joking. I'm
now.
joking. I'm joking. So me and ChatGPT did a poem for you. Okay. Instead of your bio, we decided to make a poem for you because I know that you're a poetry girl. So let me read it for you, okay? Bridget Ssamula. She walks where systems once stood still, reading the silence between policy and people, not loud with promise, but deliberate. The kind of leader who measures impact before she measures applause. In rooms shaped by history and habit, she asks different questions. Not who's always been there, but who must still be allowed in. Transformation to her is not a slogan. It is a process, patience, and principles. She understands that regulation is not restraint, but responsibility. That standards, when just held, can lift an entire profession without breaking its spine. Her leadership is not performative, it is archival, written in frameworks into decisions that will outlive her title. She builds into institutions the way engineers build bridges, for weight, for time, for those who may never know her name but will cross safely because she cared. And so her legacy is quiet but firm, a steady hand on the future, ensuring that excellence and equity learn finally to stand on the same foundation.
Wow. Is that what ChatGPT wrote about me?
Well, I guided it. Obviously, ChatGPT is a guided type of thing, and
Okay.
like I really wanted like the things that I wanted to encapsulate about you,
Yeah.
and we kind of just did like thing. But how lovely!
It is. And it is what is interesting for me is that, again, because my work has always been quiet, but
Mm,
this role sort of thrust me into the limelight. It is good that that
mm.
is what is also still seen. But yeah, that
I
my
feel like,
career is about doing, not being. That has been important
and you
for
can't.
me.
That's true. And you can't have a leader that gets high on their own supply,
No.
because then it just doesn't work.
That's not, and it's so very interesting, but that's not leadership. Do you get it, eh? Because your job as a leader is never to really be at the front. Sometimes you're at the side, sometimes you're at the back, sometimes. But if you're so full of yourself, you'll be running. There'll be no one behind you. Then who are you leading?
You'll be running alone, and then you realize happening
You're
on
thinking your
here.
trophies and you think leadership is about you. No, it's about the people behind you, that no one is left behind, that everybody is walking and they are aligned, and those who are too slow are pushed a little bit ahead, and those who are trying to disorganize the crowd are removed. So, yeah, leadership is not really about the position at the front. I don't think so. And that's why I think it also makes sense to say the first must be the last, because that's what it is. And
True.
aviation for me helps, right? The pilot is the last to get off the plane. Yeah.
Because they have that responsibility. I learned
Yes.
a new term a couple of days ago, and it's not a new term, but it's called leading from the middle. And they were saying that people that lead in the middle are the most effective leaders, because they are part of it. They know that it's not about them. They understand the culture of it. They're part of the culture, and then push other people to move the whatever forward, to move the narrative forward and not themselves. It's a crazy thing.
Yeah, but it is effective, I think, because a lot of work gets done in the middle. And that's the team that makes or breaks you. And it doesn't matter what tone you speak on at the top. If it's not filtering in the middle, you're wasting your time. They're the guys who leave bad bosses. They don't care about the vision and the mission. They leave bad bosses because it's a simple contract for them, an exchange of services for a fee on the 26th.
That's it. That's it. So if you were, it's been how many years now with ECSA? It's 3 years
3.
now.
Yes.
Would you say that you cultivated a culture or you nurtured it?
There was some very good bonds because ECSA is a small organization. They were already a family.
Oh,
It's just that, yes. And they had a camaraderie, they had a rapport. It just was not linked to the institution. It wasn't linked to productivity. It wasn't linked to employee recognition awards. So that was what needed to be nurtured. So yes, there's a year-end function, but the purpose of the year-end function is to recognize, reward. So you link the camaraderie that was happening anyway, but link it to more than, so and so is the newest person on the block. This is the newest manager. This is the in group. This is the outer group. Now we are saying this person has the best customer service. This team has done its role. This one has gone over and above the call of duty. This is the best manager award. All of that as part of the camaraderie. So nurtured it and directed it to the organization's productivity, their strategy, and their mission.
It's by the virtue of you saying that, it means that we have to give props to the leaders before you. The 2 black males before you, we have to give them props, because then they also were nurturers of the culture, because that's what you found when you got there.
I must say, yes and no. Yes and no.
Okay.
I think it's almost like a child who has learned to coexist on their own, and they've created their own camaraderie because they've had to create their own culture. Yes. Actually, if anything,
they had.
yes, if anything, it was us they didn't trust as leaders. So they looked at me with a side eye many times, and I used to speak and they would roll their eyes like, yeah, right, we've had it before. So I had to earn their hope. So their
You were like a
rapport was there.
politician.
So whether their rapport was suffering in the trenches, or we built a friendship and we are doing the best that we can for this institution, and it's where we are on one day, but it's now that's why I couldn't lead and run, because it is us who had failed them. So I had to earn their trust. And I think that truly, we had gotten to the point where we had built credible leadership. And I think even the team that I have in place still does that. So I was very specific around psychometrics,
Mm,
people who
mm,
know what leading is versus what managing is, because
mm.
we as leaders had really let them down. So I also had to build that trust so that they could at least see where they're going, because they were doing their job, but I don't think they felt recognition. And by the way, that's why many people do say ECSA staff don't communicate, they were so used to being abused on email, on the
Mm.
phone, so they were like, why are we engaging with them anyway?
What does it matter?
Yeah, because they don't see the work we are doing in the circumstances we are doing it in. And yeah, so yeah.
Did you only set out to be the go to EXA? Did you want that leadership position? Was it something that you were like, "Hmm, I'm gonna go to South Africa now. I'm gonna go to X."
No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, a lot of my career, and that's why whenever I see people who have curated there, and at this age I will be this, and at this age I will do that, I'm always very weary about them, because we make plans and God laughs, right? So
That's
it's more
true. That is
important
true.
it's more important for you to build the block. So truly no. I was at ACOM at the time, and I had made up my mind to first of all make up my mind about, I wanted to come back to South Africa for a while, but I also wanted, at that point my comfort zone was academia. So I had
Okay.
said, yeah, so I'd said I'd done 9 years in ACOM. I was like, oh, let me go back to South Africa. Let me go back into academia while I slow down, right? Again, we make plans and God
Okay.
laughs. So, and then, yeah, so when South Africa then opened up to the world in 2022, I came back and started processing my papers and stuff. But
Mm,
I think then I was contacted. So I was actually headhunted for the role, and a recruiter called
yeah.
me. Yeah. So a recruiter, and I had spoken to a friend of mine and told her where I wanted to go. So when she spoke to this recruiter, she actually told this recruiter where I'm at professionally.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
recruiter then said, EXA gives you an ability to think about, because then I saw that I could impact not just all the value chain of engineering rather than just academia. As much as I love
Yeah.
academia and will give back, this would be a good way to do it for the whole value chain. And I was always very curious about this organization that is so important, so impactful, but we only hear from them once a year. Truly,
Mm.
why are they not living their best life? Why are they standing loud and proud as a brand, as a regulator, and taking their position? Yeah,
Sis Bridget, I think I need you to go back to your laptop.
you do.
I think we
Okay.
might. I think because you couldn't hear me before because of what I had done. So I think we might have to. Where were you the last time? I can hear you
Okay, so let
perfectly,
me
and
go
it's
back to my
recording. And
laptop. Yeah, let me go back to
yeah,
my
I think.
laptop.
I think. Okay, let's try. Okay, I'll go to the bathroom. So long.
Cool.
Satan better not be using this thing to. Can you hear me? Yes, it's perfect now. Yes. Can
I
you
can
hear
hear
me? I
you.
hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. But you need to close your other browsers.
I've closed them.
Okay, cool. All right. What were we talking about now? We were
We were
talking
talking
about.
about whether I had always wanted to join EXA, or,
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
I said I was headhunted for it and I wanted to impact the sector.
What was it about you that you think they wanted? Specifically you.
Look, I think I was coming in cold.
Okay.
The regulatory industry has sort of recycles the same people. So I was
Okay.
coming in cold, number one, and I think I was good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done the work. So I ticked the
Okay.
boxes. So there wouldn't be that much pushback. Remember, EXA had also been through quite a bit of turbulence at a leadership level at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure my credentials helped. The fact that I had sat on boards and the fact that I had led organizations. and that I had also been in academia. So I assume it was credibility. I don't know about the individual in terms of what I was presenting on paper for them.
Okay.
I don't think they knew my track record. It's been a quiet one. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually editing your title here. What is your title now?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you do now? Like, they say, okay, Dr. Bridget Ssamula, you're no
I
longer the
actually
thing your
truly, let me be honest with you. I've always been Bridget
Uh-huh.
in the workplace. With all these accolades, I've always been Bridget. But that's why I said
That's
for
what
me, I didn't.
everybody who's a doctor says. I think that's what they teach you when you get
No,
your doctorate or
no.
something. That, oh
There are
no, you
two
can't.
groups. Let me tell you, there are two groups of people
Mm,
who do PhDs, and we sort of fall into
okay.
categories. There is the group
Okay.
that was so scarred by the process, right? A PhD is so brutal, you even forget how to fry eggs.
It is. It is. It is. It is.
So those people never want the world to forget. So those are the people that keep saying,
Okay.
I'm doctor, I'm doctor, I'm doctor. I've always just been Bridget Ssamula, PhD. Because the doctor title, every Tom, Dick, Harry, honorary doctorate, owner, holding.
My God.
And it's also not very comfortable using that title when flying, right? I was once very
Right?
comfortable
Why?
in my seat, and they're like, Mom, there's a lady, she has high blood pressure and she's 6 months pregnant. I'm like, not your girl, not your girl.
Not me. Not. But if you need something with the airline, I can help you.
If you want to land efficiently, the closest runway,
I
I'm
can
your
help you
girl.
there. But not the lady. I'm not the girl.
No, like I did not listen at the dining table at home growing up enough to be able to help you with this lady. I didn't. I might have had
It's okay.
doctors as growing up, but no, I won't help. So I've always done Bridget Ssamula PhD. Then when I got the MBA, I liked it. So I put Bridget Ssamula PhD, MBA, PRN. That's it. That's what I put. But on LinkedIn, I keep it basic because that's my name.
But it's also like, it's like rich people. When you are that comfortable in your richness.
And you say money doesn't matter. It doesn't buy happiness.
It does not matter. You'll be rolling around with Mr. Price sneakers. Like, it does not matter. You're not trying to prove it to anybody. It's there. If you want it, well, it's there on my CV, but it's not who I am. I don't identify with it.
No, I agree. But I also, so let me tell you, there's an English word that we don't really use. It's only used in the Bible. It's called meek, being meek, right? It's one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, right? So meekness, the definition of being meek is knowing when to use your power. So you don't, so I don't bring out the guns because when truly in an environment, when you speak, people know, but you need to be approachable. If they introduce me, Bridget Sambler, PhD, MBA, PRN, blah, 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 is saying no. People shut down. Yeah. And what's interesting, I'm passionate about education, but even when we are doing the Enneagram, right? I'm an educator. So even in my personality, so when we do the 16 character types, I'm a commander, right? But in the Enneagram, I'm an educator. So I find that you've got to be approachable irrespective of the age, and titles put people off. Titles tell people you think you know it all. So they're not listening to half the things that you're saying. And the other thing is, you'll be surprised at where you learn things from. When you have titles, people don't approach you. People don't approach you with suggestions. They don't approach you with what needs to be done differently, I mean, the guy who gave me the biggest fundamental root cause analysis issues of ECSA in my first 3 weeks was a driver of ECSA. He was a driver. And it was fundamental to, and he said, I need to know that you'll stay long enough to fix what I tell you. And then he told me, but that I got from a driver. So if you walk in saying I'm a PhD and I'm an MBA, I don't know. So meekness is knowing when you need to flex. So if I'm in a room, only black woman, keynote speaker, people are wondering who is this? Then Bridget
What
Ssamula,
is happening? Yeah.
DPRH, walks into the room because you know when to use which gear while you're driving. So yeah, it
I get
helps
you.
open
I
doors.
get you.
Yeah. So it's not a humility
I
thing.
always
Many
say,
people think it's a humility thing. It's not. It's not. I struggled like everybody else during the PhD. It's just that I still need to learn, and everybody has something that you can learn from. Everyone
mm,
does. You've got to be
mm,
able to. You, for example, have a command of a room that surpasses age, wisdom, experience. And if someone was to tell you, when did you learn that? You know, people go to Toastmasters to learn that.
you
So
see why do you see why I have imaginary dates with you? Do you see why?
I
This is
do.
why.
I do. I do. I do.
So in your whole time at ECSA and understanding now more of like the value chain of engineering and not just the academia and the data and all of that, whose voice do you think we need to hear more of?
In terms of the fraternity, are you asking that question in
Yeah.
terms of fraternity? I still think EXA doesn't know its true power, and neither does the fraternity. There, if
Mm,
I think of consultants use EXA's universities require EXA's accreditation to attract students, right? Because of Washington Accord, Dublin Accord, Sydney Accord. So
mm,
it helps them market and build credibility. Consultants require the PR range tech, PR tech to gain credibility. So truly, everybody is taking from EXA. There are very few people strengthening the institution EXA. It is a powerful regulator of a
mm,
fraternity that really can push the needle. And if I look at
mm,
other countries, their engineering regulators sit with decision makers on
mm,
what need to be taken. But here we are, people not knowing, are we moving forward? Are we moving backwards? What do? We are relying on entities, we are relying on individuals. But in terms of thought leadership, it's almost untapped. In terms
mm,
of leveraging the strength of the 30,000 registered persons to be able to push the agenda of engineering in impacting the economy.
mm,
And I'm not talking just built environment, because we tend to think engineering is just the built environment. It really isn't.
mm,
Uh, it really
mm.
isn't. If we look at biomedical, if we look at computer software engineering, AI, all of that. But EXA, half the time, everybody thinks they're doing you a favor, right? Half the people who
That's
call
true.
my
That is so true.
reception are like, what do we pay you for? Right? But you're not even paying them enough to look at all the cases, third party cases. The George one, for example, required so much. Let me tell you, during the George investigation, for example,
Mm,
so
mm.
the decision that we took around being present at George, for me as a leader, it came from my aviation background, right?
Okay.
There's
Okay.
an incident, you're there. So for me, there were no two ways about it. So when I was being thanked for being present, being thanked for responding, that
It's
also
like,
worried.
what was I supposed to do? Yeah, like what else was I supposed to do?
So the crash happens. There's the collapse on Monday, 2 o'clock afternoon. We've got that sign off. Tuesday morning, our investigator is on site. And then at some point, when now everybody is fighting for where's the report? Where's the report? Where's the report? Who's done the
Mm.
investigation? Then EXA's names was on everybody's lips because we had gone there, we had done the work, and the organization has the
Oh,
credibility because their process is a quasi-judicial process. Our investigator is experienced. He's an engineer by profession, so he's experienced. So there is a credibility and a power that comes from the entity and the juristic person EXA, that I don't think engineers and the engineering fraternity generally and the registered persons know. They need it to earn money, to get a promotion, to get students seen because they are accredited, but they're fighting half the time when we are pushing. Do you know?
you know
One in
why? Do you
five.
know?
Why?
Do you know why?
No.
And I think you've also answered yourself in just this in this story, it's because say in the past, ECSA hasn't been able to translate the human part of the fraternity.
Yeah.
And driving that culture of, it's not just that one time that we need, it's not just that title. It's about what it comes to.
Yeah.
How we respond when things are not going well, because we are responsible for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why then there's that disconnect that happens there.
Agreed. For example, I don't think many of our professionals actually know that the Act makes provision, if they're being compromised in the workplace, to write to us and let us know. If they're being compromised,
and then what are you guys? And then what?
It's up to them. It's up to them. If they want us to say something, we write and we say. If they want to keep it quiet because they are worried about their job, that letter still holds water when they are now being investigated or being blamed or something. Yeah. So, and I think nobody really knows that. And it was tested, by the way, in court. The individual, the engineering person, registered person, was working in city of Tshwane at the time. And it was tested and it held water because that's what the Act does provide for. So yes, it is true. So for example, we were having lots of discussions with the Auditor General because they find that when they're doing root cause analysis of where things go wrong, a lot of the mismanagement of funds, the largest amount of funds outside of education and health and the services like the police, the biggest chunk of money from the fiscus goes to infrastructure projects. The failure causes infrastructure projects. Who is the cause of this? Whether it's the contractor. So if we are operating in an environment where only 1 in 5 individuals are registered, right? And then now somehow you want the Auditor General to come up and then say, you're mismanaging funds, this is fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and it stops there. It doesn't work. So even the Zondo Commission feedback, when they came to us and said, SIU wants to be able to give you the reports after they are done. When we were having discussions with the mining grouping said that registered persons who create, mishaps in the gold environment move to platinum. Then once they're caught out in platinum, they move to coal, but that's because they're all not realizing bring it to mix. Yeah. And you know what's so interesting? Auditors do that. The finance sector does it. You don't mess up in one bank and you're hired in another. No,
exactly. That's so true.
List. Yeah. You're put on a list. So we are not empowering our own sector. And yes, I understand the politics around it, but I do think even us as a fraternity, those 4, so 1 in 5 are registered persons, right? The census, 150,000 people says they practice in the engineering environment, but we have only 30,000 professionally registered individuals. So that technically tells you 1 in 5. So the other 4, so you're going to complain about we don't pick up calls until when? Now we are digitized. Now we are everywhere.
Yeah.
You can register. So what's your story now? And I think that was the purpose of digitizing. And what's interesting that somehow we are very modern when it comes to our banking, right? We like the app, we like that. So they're
that's so true.
But then
that
somehow
is so true.
We need them to speak to us, and being on hold for 6 minutes is unacceptable. What institution are you running? Hey, we are not polite, eh? As a fraternity, I know we are not polite. Luckily, we are not judged by bedside manner. Yeah, no, we are not nice. Actually, if there's anybody we need to apologize to, we all as a fraternity needs to apologize to ECSA staff. I know, we treat them so badly. Eh?
I can imagine. Yeah. I can imagine. I was talking to another lady from SACPCMP and they go through the same thing, and it's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah. When someone has the nerve to tell you, I can't be on hold for 6 minutes. Are you serious? Which bank picks up after 6? Insurance, all your other banks, insurance companies.
But I don't now know for your registration, 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's too unacceptable. I don't understand. I don't need this registration. Oh, no, you.
But just Bridget, doesn't that mean that we are, if that's the case, and there's a lot of those cases, doesn't it mean that we need to simplify our process even further? Because at the end of the day, we need to understand that ECSA is service driven. So the better we streamline the processes, the better then it is for the staff, I would imagine. Is it that hard to streamline it?
So no, it's not. And I think that's a lot of the work that we are doing. If you even look at how we digitized from the beginning to where we are now, it's like chalk and cheese. And even then,
Yeah.
if everything goes well, there'll be a phase 3, right? So where in the phase 3, everything runs smooth like butter. Even your scheduling of your interviews is done. You get your feedback there, and then you can evaluate your reviewers and you assess before you get your results. Before you get your results, just in case. Yeah, no, because we don't trust that you will be
You-
impartial. If you'll be
That's so true.
all of that needs to go
And
through
we
the
don't.
phases of change. But I generally think our biggest problem as a fraternity, which is very interesting for me because coming from academia, one of the things we teach is change, right? So you never really get the same questions because you're never going to have the same problem. We need, version A and version B and version C. Otherwise, we would all be using Alexander Graham Bell's phone, But strangely, it's the one fraternity that struggles with change the most.
Okay.
Because we are really risk averse generally. So we do struggle with change.
That whole industry is just like that.
But I do think we also have a perception issue. So the first one is change. The second one is perception. ECSA is inefficient. It's a story. You hear it from your bosses and your boss's bosses. The 4 out of 5 who are not registered, right? Because they sort of constantly have to defend why they are not registered, and they've spent
Why
20
they're not,
years.
yes. And it's always someone else's fault.
Think about this dynamic. The team leader is not registered. You think he's going to promote the registration of his junior staff?
Of course, because now they're going to take his job.
And so the perception and the storyline is also continued in a way. So we're doing our bit, but I think the last one is that we also don't take a lot of personal responsibility. So let me give you an example. The CPD credits we require of registered persons in 5 years, medical doctors are required to have that same number of CPD credits annually.
So that means we're minimum.
Yeah. And let me tell you, what's outcome 11? Do you remember outcome 11? Outcome 11 is very clear. You will continue to study and understand the changes and advances in your sector. It's outcome 11. We all agreed to it when we got our ERN. But when it comes to doing it, then it's expensive. Then the system doesn't work. Then we don't remember. Then we have an issue. You get what I mean? And I think as a result, so we are not committed to continuous learning. Yet, but it's not just South Africa, right? Because I've worked elsewhere. I mean, to get a senior engineer in his 60s to tell him this is BIM, you're wasting his time. He's going to...
No. The
young guy will do the BIM and he'll never let him go, right? But he won't do that on his own. But somehow, when FNB and Capitec and when they all say, we are done with checks, we are done with this, go to your phone. Somehow, we know what to do. We are now tech savvy because it's our money. So there is a bit of human behavior, but I do think on the CPD one, I think that one we need to take full responsibility, honestly, on that particular one. We do need to take full responsibility for that as a sector. We are not doing what we need to do, not even halfway.
So now that you've left, what do you are you going to go? Is it going to be like a thing where, because you still say hour, by the way.
Because
so you haven't left, like in your heart, like yeah, the contract is over, but like
it
it's
takes
still
me a while.
part of you.
It takes me a while. I mean, for a long time, even now when I speak of ACOM or University of Pretoria, I still say because for me, I don't join jobs. I join vision, mission, values, right?
Okay.
So I identify with the organization and where it will go. So there will always be, like even yesterday, I saw a post from ECSA's web on LinkedIn where they were talking about bulk billing. And it's been a project that I've been passionate about because I am sure I have a theory. My theory is that ECSA gets about 80% of its income from major engineering employers. And if we can sort out bulk invoicing, we can sort out half of our problems, right? So when I saw they were doing it and they were cautioning people and reminding them, I wanted to repost and be like, guys, do it.
Like it's not anymore.
So I have to like, guys. So
Now
it'll
you are
always,
just merely a person. Now you
you
are just
know,
merely a person.
but I think
But then that
it's
is a,
because I will always. So even when, for example, I saw ACOM has been put number one most admired company in the engineering for I don't know the 14th year in a row, I still have that. I'm like that. I don't. For me, it's not. I don't work the job. I work the vision. I work the mission. I work the values. And so when I identify with an organization, particularly when I'm on assignment, it's very easy for me to not leave a certain aspect behind. So yes, what I did, there's ECSA staff. So there was another post that I saw and there was an ECSA staff member and she was looking really bored in the picture. So I took a snapshot and I told her, I am watching you. Please look interested. We need you. I was like, I will monitor you.
I am still there. I'm with
Yes, I'm behind you.
Oh,
You've got it, girl. Just, yeah.
but the thing is, you know what we with the different generations, what we struggle with, and I'd like to ask you this question. You know how like the younger generation always move from job to job because I don't know. I don't want to be the person that says, oh no, it's ambition or whatever. But how would you say, I don't know how to phrase this, but it's because now we're also looking at a different demographic of people, you know, and they
Yeah.
work different. Like let's say the Gen Zs, you know, like they
Yeah.
will not stay at a job more than a year. You know, they are always on to the next one. In this environment right now as a leader, why stay? What's the value of staying?
I think root cause analysis is that they didn't identify with the organization in the first place. I think Gen Zs don't really understand that for them, vision, mission, and values. And I think that's why for me, I understand they're hopping around. But what I would like them to do is that they do take a lot of face value things, right? So they see the number of
Okay.
likes, they see the number of, and those are the things that lead them to join organizations. Do you get it? Rather than, so for example, let's get a different industry. Auditors and
Okay.
accountants, we all know they'll either go to the big four or the broader 10, but it's usually the big four for training. So
Okay.
if you go to EY and in a year you're unhappy with EY, but everybody went to EY to get their articles, right? And pass their articles and get their CA and so on. So if you go and you don't get what you went to get there, so you're failing at the job already. So root cause analysis. Why did you join in the first place?
In the first place.
Yes. And I think likes are great, but organizations can really content curate. And I also think Gen Zs don't really realize how much they identify with impact and values of an organization. But they do. Whereas baby boomers and the other generation where we are, then the millennials, we sit, we earn, we make our money, we look the other way and continue on, right? But I think Gen Zs don't do that particularly. They're worried about impact, they're worried about values, they're worried about those things in their life, and they want to make an impact as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. But the only way to really realistically do that is identify with it.
But the thing is also you need to understand their age at that point. At 21, 22, 23, I remember I wasn't really looking at the culture of the organization that I was trying to get into. I was looking for a great salary. I was looking for a manager I can tolerate. And I was looking at if that job is going to be able to get me the clothes that I want at that point.
Yeah, but all of those things, if you think about all of those things that you've written, first of all, your manager is out of your operational control, right? I learned very early in my career, I left a job once because of a bad manager, and I promised I would never do it again.
Why?
Because organizations are bigger than the people. Do you get it? They're bigger than the people that you report to. Yeah. So I would rather go to HR and ask to move. That would be the type of thing that you do.
You know, bold people, they make life seem so simple. Just, you know what? Organizations are bigger than the manager. There's George. They're choking you. He's choking you. You can't sleep at night. He is is on your brain, but you can't really seem to access Bridget. You know that you want this job. You know that Bridget is a lovely woman. She's a leader and she's trying to inculcate this culture. But then like this guy there, Bob, is doing something totally different. And he it's bad managers are like, I'm gonna use a very crappy term, but they like people that molest children.
Yeah.
Like they mess with your head to a point where even with the resources available, you still don't see your power. Because they abuse you mentally so much that
So
all the resources that Bridget made available to the organization, I can't seem to see past it because of this person.
okay, so when we had the pre-session, I spoke to you about dealing with the individual. So, for example, there are 16 major characters in the world, right? If we are going to look at the ELTNS, there are 16 characters in the world. In your work life, whether you are employed, you're a boss babe, you are a subordinate, you've got to figure out how to deal with the 16 characters in the world. I'm not advocating for enduring abuse, because that one, the law is clear. I'm not advocating enduring bullying and toxic environments, and that one, yes, walk, right? Because that one, for me, it is a red line. But that he's a difficult person, you will find a client like that. Then what?
Hey.
And now it's Maswazi Engineering Group that has gotten the job, and
Yeah.
George is now the client. So I do think managing people has to be a skill. And you don't leave, that's why I say you don't leave an organization because of a person and a character, but figure out whether the person is bullying you, because if the person is bullying you, your HR has a duty to do something about it. And that duty is enshrined in the law, and that law will protect you. And if your employer refuses to protect you from George's bullying tactics and he's choking you, you go to the powers that be at CCMA, right? Because then, and you don't take George, you take your employer, because your employer is required by law to protect you from that type of work environment. So don't take George. No, take your employer, because your employer needs to deal with all the George characters in the workplace. So that again would be root cause analysis. I think, and then of course your employer can't fire you. You know that, right? After you've taken them
For
to
that.
CCMA, they fire you. They can't. You will leave on your own terms at your own
When you want to
when
live.
you are ready. And don't be surprised if they just give you a cup with the organization logo as a farewell present. But the
Because
truth
they've
is,
been waiting for you to go.
but I think that's what I mean when I say you don't leave a bad manager, because you've got to learn to deal with the characters in the world. That those 16 characters, you will find them. I have a friend that kept finding that character, right? She kept finding, she's like, and it was called Johan. I keep finding Johan. He's just different height, different skin color, different height. It's still Johan. I'm like, because you never dealt with Johan. So you've got to deal with Johan. Yeah. It's
I
a
always
skill.
say
And I
that-
think
that-
for me, if you're leaving an organization because of a boss, then that's not because you can't manage a bad manager at all.
You can't. I can't. You,
No.
you don't have
And
the
you
thingy
can't.
to.
Yes.
Yes. You were saying?
And I also think the other trick would be when you join an organization, do more than where you are, right? So when they're saying put your hands up for those who want to do bids, you're there. Put your hand up for things that you want to do, you're there. So that your life and who Pilile is not defined by George's narrative at all. That also helps. It really helps.
It does.
Because the day you then complain about George, everybody is going to be like, but she's great and she works really hard and she was on this project and she did all of this and she, no, then, yeah, you've got to always have other advocates. Yeah.
But the number one question I think then would follow would be, what does it take to get a seat at your table? What do I have to, I'm a new person, I'm coming into your company. What does it take to get a seat at your table specifically? What
And-
type of person do I have? How do I have to present myself in order to get a seat or to get you to see me?
You've got to, I think there are very many people who come. I'll give a story because it's the best way I answer questions. There was a girl I was
No,
supervised.
I love them.
Okay, so when I was at University of Pretoria, I was supervising fourth years, and I was given about 6 or 7 students, and there was this particular girl. So she came to me so I would give her an instruction. Okay, this is where we are. Chapter 1, this is what I require you to do. And chapter 1 required moving from A to, let's say, letter D.
Okay.
She would come when she's at A.5. I've done this. Are you happy? I'm like, yes. Then you move to B and then C and then D, and then you come to me when you're done with chapter 1. Should come after B. I'm going to start B. I need assistance on this. I was thinking about this. So I tolerated it for about a month. Then I sat her down and I told her, you've got to show initiative. You've got to learn. You've got to make mistakes. You've got to push yourself. I don't want to see you until you're done with this chapter. Be open to hearing that you've made a mistake, and we talk it through and you go back and you do the work, because you're operating from fear of doing something wrong, and you will do something wrong. And characters like that do not survive when they fail. So I like people who know what they bring to the table, right? But I also want people who show initiative and they check and they're also willing to fail so that they can move. I remember she actually reported me to the head of department through her mother.
For what?
And then I was
For wanting to help her.
She said they want to change a supervisor because the mother feels I'm harsh. The daughter doesn't think I'm harsh, but the mother feels I'm harsh, and she needs somebody to babysit her. And we had a meeting. I said I'm open to having a meeting with the mother and the girl, the student, and myself and the head of department. And I explained myself. And I told her, in the workplace, you will do this once to one person who would have taken a chance on you as a graduate. And you will come for every little thing. Trust me, they will never give you a task again. And you will sit, you'll twiddle your thumbs. And every time someone asks him, what is she like? They will say, she requires babysitting. She requires hand-holding. She doesn't want to make a mistake. Be open to... I remember telling that girl, let us meet once every 2 weeks. She was coming to my office every 2 days.
No,
Like,
you are...
it's not a relationship.
You are
Go,
missing a
mess
very
up.
important... She is annoying.
No, I do think it happens to... I do think those characters exist,
Dude.
but I think, but I don't think that there's space for them in the world today. People will perceive it as weakness. People will perceive it as you don't know what you're doing, and they just won't be bothered with you. And that's all. So, I sit at my table.
Sorry.
Go ahead. So I sit at my table just requires someone to know what they're bringing to the table. That's all. As long as you know what you're bringing to the table, you're confident, I give you, and you tell me, I've gone this far, these are the problems I'm facing, but I think this is, what do you think? That I like. So and I'm not very picky. I don't require degrees and qualifications. The guys who did the first candidate portal for ECSA, they were interns. I asked them in December when everybody was going. I started in November and they were busy delivering keyboards to me. And I asked them, can you do this? And I showed them an entity that did the same thing. And they said, yeah. I was like, okay. Then I said, but don't do it during work hours. I don't want you to get into trouble. So they say, no, we shut down. So we are going to have time. Come January, they had something to give me. So what do? I call a room full of their bosses and I say, present. Now you're busy telling me that you have a CPD portal with a service provider who has been giving you a hard time for the last 5 years. Come on.
Hey, for so long. Hey, can you imagine?
So I'm like, help them.
Can you imagine?
Then, of course, they got the backlash.
Exactly.
Then they were not popular. You went to the CEO. But that will go down. They know that. They will always have that as their credit. So I don't need degrees. I just need people who show initiative to solve problems. I like problem solvers. I don't like problem creators. We have this problem and we have this problem and we have this problem.
Then they sit there in their problems. Yeah, they sit there in their problems. They have ice cream with their problems.
That's a risk. Identifying all of the risks with no solutions.
No.
Yeah. You feel like giving them that band of what would Jesus do, but you remove the J and what would you do?
Just for you to get a solution.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to the Okay, no, we've touched on how does it feel that now that you've left ECSA. So what are you going to do with yourself now? Also, how does it? No, I don't think you've grasped the concept of you leaving yet, because I would imagine if you were once like the leader of an organization and then now you've left, I would imagine it's like, like being Miss World, and then the next year now you're just back to being an ordinary person, and you are no longer just Miss World. Now you're just back to it. Does it feel that way? Did you like it? Did you like the spotlight? You had to travel a lot.
No, I didn't like the
You hated
spotlight
it.
at all. Yeah. I've never had such a public profile like the one I had at ECSA. Never. I've
I
never
can
had such a
imagine.
public
I can
profile.
imagine.
It brought a lot of unwanted attention. And I'm a doer. I don't faff
Mm,
around. I'm a
mm.
doer. I like to sit and I do my work and I move on. The job, I've never had such a public profile. Let me tell you, I attended the funeral service of a former colleague of mine at the CSIR, and I was announced.
Mm.
And I thought, no. That's when I thought, no, there's something wrong with this job, right?
Why am I being announced at a funeral? So how did they announce you? What did they say?
The CEO of Engineering Council South Africa, Bridget Ssamula, has graced us. I'm like, this dude was my friend, guys. No. We
Oh
are not bringing
man,
regulatory air
can you
here. Yeah.
imagine? Yeah.
So I found it created a lot of attention. I truly won't miss that part. So
Really?
if you not, yeah, actually from about my second year, you should ask my marketing and comms team. I stopped them from following me
Mm.
around. I stopped them because I told them I'm giving you a year to brand ECSA and Bridget together. After that, please,
Okay.
can we divorce? We need to build EXA's credibility on its own. And I think we achieved that.
Mm.
I'm telling you. You know how I knew we achieved that? When I did, because I
Mm.
rarely used to post. I used to do a lot of reposting, but I rarely used to post. But the one of the
Okay.
digital certificates, I liked it. I did a post about it. And
Okay.
the comments were thanking EXA. And I thought, yes,
That's
we had
the
gone full
thing.
circle, right?
That's
I
the
was
thing.
showing what EXA had done, and people were thanking EXA, not me. So I won't miss that. I will not lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how everybody's asking, so what's next? So what's next? Yeah, guys, I'm going to go undercover so
You
fast.
don't know. You don't know.
I need
You
a
don't know.
break. Yeah, I'm
No,
going
you
to
need
go
to rest.
undercover.
Travel a little bit, rest. It's been such was it like a lot though? Like the 3
Yes, it was. I did not feel like there were 3 years. I felt like there were 20 years in one.
ish.
I am going to move back to the US because that's where I was. So I will go back there and will probably still get my hands dirty. I miss engineering. I miss industry. I miss
Okay.
being at the front. Like I feel I've missed out. There are things I'm seeing
I
now
can
and
imagine.
then. Yeah, I miss growing top line growth, the double digits. I miss
Mm,
entering new markets. I miss bid
mm,
strategies. I miss
mm.
listening for clients and what a client wants. Let me tell you something. I used to read RFPs just
For fun.
because I like linking the industry, the sector, where the company is going. Then they present their RFP, and I'm like, so how do I link what
Mm,
they want with what I can give them so that I can create a
mm.
winning bid? I think for me, it's like
Yeah.
creating a strategy all over
A strategy.
again.
What to say is like a
And
strategy. Yeah.
because we are female, we hear what the client isn't saying. You
True.
hear the things
True.
that are foremost at the MEC's mind or the minister's mind. And so when they bring a bid, speak their language. I used to say the softer things is what gets politicians to our jobs. But telling them this is world-class engineering, latest innovative design, blah, blah, those things don't matter. But tell them you impacted a school, you impacted children, you will be so surprised, so surprised at what then the politicians and the school and the fraternity, and those are the things that bring return work. Not, it was a
Mm.
3-span steel bridge with the latest pretension, blah, blah. No, those are not the
And I
things.
was there, and yeah, that's true.
Those are not the
You
things. So
realize that
yeah, so I miss that. Yeah.
you realize that with builds, it's a lot about people. And once
Yeah.
you get to that point, where you understand people, you move so much differently. And it's not just like
Agreed.
there's such a plethora of
Yeah, I
people. And
agree.
once you get to that, mm,
Engineering is about impact, and we forget that sometimes. We forget that a lot of
we
times.
do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So whether it's
we do, we
biomedical and
do.
it's shortening recovery time, there's a lot that we do.
What type of music do you listen to?
Thing. Used
Like
to
what? Like what?
when I was doing my PhD, I loved jazz. I
Okay.
loved jazz. When I came to South Africa, I saw they danced to jazz, so I was very impressed with that. I used to think it was one of those really things
Okay.
to just listen to. So I love jazz. I love acoustic guitar type of
Okay.
music.
Okay.
Zonke, like I'm your Metro FM Saturday
Okay.
afternoon type of girl. That playlist will
Okay.
run on and on. And I do love gospel as well, because
Okay.
it has a way of setting the mood and fighting battles,
It does.
seen or unseen.
Mm,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does.
yeah,
It does. If
yeah.
you're going to like a really important meeting,
Mm.
who's helping you prepare for it?
In terms of music,
No. Just you are going, you know that you've got a very important meeting tomorrow.
yeah,
You have a proposal or
yeah,
something. It's really important. Who's
yeah.
helping you prepare? Or who are you taking with you? That you know that even if because things can go left in those type of situations. Who who's going to be there to catch you? Or at least to pump you up to get there. Don't tell me you.
But I'm an immigrant, right? You know what happens to immigrants. There is that aspect. There is that
Of
aspect.
just
So
being alone.
I'll do the framework and everything myself. I will then I have my older sister is a lawyer,
Okay.
but she's so wise and she has a way of knowing me.
Okay.
And she's like, stop, this angle is wrong. Stop, this is what's going to show up, you know? So she's the one who would help me prepare for what I will come
Okay.
through as. But once the
Okay.
meeting is done, I'll go to my best friend, and she will be the one to help me. She's also a lawyer. Interesting.
Okay. Okay.
So one of them is a lawyer, but one of them is a development economist. So that best friend of mine, she'll pump me up. So even if it went wrong, she'll be like, they don't deserve you. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you
it's
did
okay.
well anyway.
Let them go. Let them
Yeah.
go.
Then
And then
my
at
lawyer
work,
friend will be like, okay, this is how we recover. This is what we need to look for. So I like to be built up, but I also like I'll be on your side wherever. But the bulk of it, the immigrant works alone, just in case they
oh,
get sabotaged. Yeah, by the way. By the way.
are
So I've
you
always
more
been
of
an
a
outsider. So even when I went home in 16, I still felt like an
mm,
outsider because I hadn't worked at home
because you
for a
haven't
long
been
time.
there?
Yeah. So you walk alone, you know your stuff. You know how people give other people to do their work for them? Ha! That would be a recipe for absolute disaster. Because I know countries where
No.
they will give you the wrongest information. It is true. And they will stand up and say, I think she's wrong. The same person you gave your work will say, I think she's not accurate. This is the right analysis that should have been. I'm
Oh
serious.
my God. And
So
if
I
you're
see
not doing
people
your due
trust me
diligence,
and I'm thinking, hey, these guys, there are a couple of countries I can name. Never
mm,
give them your work.
the way that leaders now, the way they like to delegate.
Yeah.
Yes. And you're thinking,
But also,
but
but also
you're a
I
control person.
go ahead. If you're a control
That,
person.
yeah. Do you think that's what you are? That's why you can't move it around.
No. I like to know what I'm talking about. If the meeting is important,
Okay.
what I say matters. The worst thing you
Yeah,
can
fair.
do, and I think those are the things that create imposter syndrome for people. The worst thing you can do is get in a meeting, you don't know half the stuff, right? I used to have those bosses. You do the presentation for them. You tell them what to say. You write the notes for them. But they will still come up and they will ask them the smallest question. They'll still be insecure because they'll say, I'll
Aish.
get back to you on that. Whereas I can tell you
Yeah.
what to say there and then, but because you
Now.
want to hide. Yeah. So the other common question I get is, do you have imposter syndrome? I'm like, no, because I've worked my way to what I am speaking about. So maybe it's the PhD, maybe it's being the immigrant, but I know words hold weight and work and meetings. I need to be able. So the other thing that I find interesting, I've gone twice to clients to sell a job as the business development
Okay.
person, and they ended up asking me
Okay.
to be the project director.
Yo.
You see, So that's why you're not selling. You also need to be credible. So they were like, we will give you the job, but on condition you are the project director. You are not handing us over
Because
to this guy because you heard us, you understood us, you respond well to what we want. So you be the project director. So yeah, it's happened to me twice before. So now I know I prep the project director, even if it means getting them to sit at the table and pump them with all the information and options. I do that. Yeah.
practice, because the bottom line is the bottom line at the end of the day.
Yes.
But you seem to
Yes.
like what you like. You really like it. Why?
Why do I like what?
Why do you like engineering so much? Like you like it.
I do. I'm so passionate about it because
You genuinely like it.
we get to be co-creators and we get to solve problems. Like, do you not open your phone and there's now a new feature and you're like, yes, they've done it, right? You were struggling. Yeah, I must tell you. So, for example, my grandmother, right? My grandmothers used to sew their own bras. You
From
know that?
scratch.
Yes. But in my mind, I think they got one and saw a prototype and started making. So my grandmother used to sew.
And then like the table.
Yeah, exactly. So she used to make her own bras. So I'm trying to say that there are problems that someone sat down and thought of that solve so many problems. We get to create, from fire to water to communicable diseases. You know, if you just think of something like laparoscopic surgery, something that basic. Yeah. And how it has shortened recovery time for people. They are able to go back to work in a week or they are able to recover better. We are just problem solvers. And for me, like I'm solution driven. And so with everything that we get, we are like doctors, but in the non-living world. Let me put it like that.
They still say engineers have a godlike complex.
We do. I actually think doctors.
You think?
So let me tell you, the discussion I used to have with my parents, they would say, so I would tell them that they get to look after what was created, right? If I was to tell you right now, if you think about the water distribution system in your body, it's what we mimic. If you look at the sewage system in your body, we are still mimicking God. Next time you're swiping left on your phone, we are mimicking the skin. So there are so many things that we do. The aeroplane mimics the bird. I can go on and on and on. So I think what we do is we study and have respect. Think about just the valves, right? You stand and blood still flows to your head because of valves. So yes, we might feel like we are godlike, but are you sure you're the one who developed valves? No, you saw the human body and you copied. Right?
You copied it. You were plagiarizing.
In the non-living world. But so I don't have a God complex. But go ahead.
I was saying it's the ability of I don't think it's a matter of I think it's the ability of wanting to solve those problems, which makes engineers special. They constantly want to solve those solutions. They constantly, because at the same time, in as much as it's the same thing like ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Some people use ChatGPT very badly, but it's meant to kind of just filtrate information that is particularly for what your problem is, and then you use that to guide the idea, then generate something new. Not just copy and paste. I think that's what we do.
I think, but I think it comes from the fact that, when I was doing my PhD, I went to Berkeley as a visiting scholar because I'm the type of person who wants to check, and I like to check with the best, right? Because I don't want to end up with a rubbish PhD. So every chapter I presented it either as a journal article or as a conference so that I could be checked before I graduate. And that's why when people say they have imposter syndrome, I don't. I do my checks while I'm doing the work. So anyway, so when when Berkeley, one of the things that we had to do was present quite a bit of the work that we needed to do. And when I was there, I was asked, what is the importance of the work that I'm doing for our particular environment because generally we Africans don't fly too much. And I
Okay.
did say that I did tell them that I think you don't build for where you are, you build for where you're going as an individual. And it is always important that you are able to look further than where you are now. And so, as I was being questioned, everybody's like, but aren't you upset? And we are critiquing your work. I said, no, because if you critique it, you then make it a lot better. I think then you have a much finer product at the end of the day in what you are producing. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get you. I get you. I didn't want this to be about your work because your work speaks for itself. Wanted this whole series is a snapshot of just, like what leaders are about, the type of people that are behind the titles,
Yeah.
and what really steers the industry forward. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you one final question. I know that you're going through this now and you are leaving us here in Africa, you traitor. First of all, you traitor. And then we are worried. We are worried about the industry, says Bridget. What should we do? What do you think as young women in built should be doing? We are worried. It's not as much as we hear, no, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be a great year. But I think like the trajectory of just like the whole ecosystem is so messed up. And we finding it so hard to find ourselves. There are some people that will find themselves better. For instance, I'll say with me, I work better in turmoil, and I think I move a little bit different with builds and all of that. But what I've realized is that we are all scared. Like it's an industry that scares us. And how do we make it better? How do we move?
I would first say establish yourself in what you're good. So find your niche, because I do think for me, this role would have eaten me alive if I hadn't built my blocks along the way,
Okay.
right? So I'd gained my credibility, I'd done my work, I had my receipts, as people call them. And I had that network. And I think that stays a lot longer. About 15, 16 years ago, I was appointed to be on a board. I was 28 years old. I was
Okay.
appointed to be on the board of ECSA Express. And I remember when I sat on that board, I kept thinking, what am I doing here? What am I doing? How it's my first board? Why did they even choose me? 8 years later, 5 ministers later, I was the acting chairperson of that board.
Sheesh.
But by that time, I had run out of my time. MOI, they had actually changed even the MOI just to accommodate me, Yeah. So I do think it's important to always know that technical credibility will survive the test of time. And if you were to meet any of those politicians, they will say the same thing. There's a friend of mine who asked me, but people say the same thing about you. And I said, but that's integrity. That whether
Yes.
I'm teaching, whether it's the same thing. Everybody will speak about me, and that will survive whichever messy, and have your values right. There are certain, now I'm known for certain things. So if you want to play strange games, I'm not your girl. You know where your people are. Yeah. But it's a sector that has like 8-year cycles. So they have a downturn, they have an upward turn. So you'll be there, you'll be okay. I think what is important is making sure that you are consistent in how you present yourself.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Because I do think that is what stands the test of time. And then the aesthetics are so dramatic. They change with every politician, with every president, with every round of funding, but you've got to be agile. So when you see private sector is messy, go to private sector. When you see oil and gas is messy, go to energy. When you see, go to academia. Have morph. I've never left engineering. So I've always found a way. I keep telling people, I'm like water. I'll find a way.
You will
And when
push
it's cold,
somewhere
I'll
inside. Somewhere.
yeah. And when it's cold, I'll freeze. And when the heat comes, I'll move.
You will
And
boil.
yeah, I'll boil, I'll condense. You're looking for me, I evaporate. Then when you least expect it, nimbus clouds, rain comes. I'm like, oh dear, she's back.